The property management called, sounding frantic enough to explode. Your 12th floor window fell and smashed 5 cars downstairs. BMWs, Audis, all luxury cars. You better get ready to cough up 400,000 in compensation. Holding my instant noodles, I nearly spit them out laughing. Bro, my place doesn't even have walls. Where the hell would a window come from? The property manager was furious. You think this is funny? If you don't come to the office tomorrow to sign the compensation agreement, we are calling the cops. I laughed even harder. Go ahead, call them. And please ask the officers to take a good look while they're at it. That apartment of mine has been an abandoned construction site for 2 years. The developer never even finished building my floor, so where the hell did a window come from? Dead silence on the other end of the line. The next day, the property manager, looking absolutely livid, brought the developer's boss and knocked on my door. The call from property management had come in earlier, sounding super aggressive. Xie Lin, I just gave a, yeah, your window fell off. It smashed 5 cars downstairs. Get over here and deal with it right now. I was holding a bowl of instant noodles, the steam warming my face. Which apartment? Emerald River Phase 3, Building 12, Unit 12. Oh 1, aren't you the owner? The voice on the phone was incredibly impatient, barking at me like an order. Yeah, I'm the owner. I put my noodle bowl down on the table. What cars got smashed? You're seriously asking about the cars right now? BMWs, Audis, all top-tier luxury cars. The owners are all down here waiting. Our initial estimate for the repairs is at least 400,000. You better start getting the cash ready. Manager Yang's voice kept getting louder and louder, screeching like a rooster whose tail just got stepped on. I actually wanted to laugh. 400,000? And that's just the initial estimate? Don't even think about stalling. Let me tell you right now, if you don't get this sorted out today, you are not going anywhere. I picked up my chopsticks and grabbed a noodle. You're Manager Yang, right? That's me. Now get your ass over here. Are you absolutely sure it was Unit 12? 01's window? No shit. I watched the entire window fall down with my own 2 eyes. What kind of garbage renovation did you do? How do you even live in there? His words were dripping with venom, treating me like I was already a convicted criminal. I just chuckled. You're actually laughing? Manager Yang's voice instantly shot up 8 octaves, blowing up like a lit barrel of gasoline. Xie Lin, what the hell is wrong with your attitude? You are in massive trouble, do you get that? Can you even afford 400,000? You, Manager Yang, let's calm down for a second. How the hell am I supposed to be calm? 5 luxury car owners are about to eat me alive. Get over here right now. Go over there to do what? To sign the compensation agreement. Otherwise, we are calling the cops. His threat was blunt, but completely toothless. Sure, go ahead and call them. There was a sudden pause on the other end of the line. He clearly didn't expect me to react like that. What is that supposed to mean? Are you trying to dodge responsibility? What I mean is, you should absolutely call the cops, I said, dragging out my words slowly. And tell the officers to get here as fast as they can. To do a proper on-set investigation while they're at it. You think calling the cops will get you off the hook? Let me tell you, the security cameras caught everything. It was definitely your window that fell down. Manager Yang had regained his confidence. He really thought he had me dead to rights. Oh, really? I let out a little laugh. Well, that's perfect. The officers can go take a look for themselves. My apartment in Emerald River? The developer went broke 2 years ago, leaving it totally abandoned. I spoke incredibly slowly, making sure he heard every single syllable loud and clear. Forget about having windows. They didn't even finish building the structural walls for my floor. My place doesn't even have a single solid wall. So, you tell me, what phantom window did I use to smash those cars? Dead silence on the other end. Manager Yang, who had just been screaming his lungs out, wasn't even making a breathing sound anymore. I could only imagine how priceless his expression must be right now. After about half a minute, the phone call suddenly cut off with a loud smack. It didn't sound like he hung up on purpose. It sounded more like he completely dropped his phone on the floor. This world is truly amazing. Sometimes, real people are way funnier than written jokes. Yang Hemming had dropped the call, his brain completely short-circuiting. His phone screen was shattered, but he couldn't even care about that. Standing there in the parking lot, staring at the severely dented and smashed luxury cars, cold sweat started dripping down his forehead. The floor was never built? That's impossible. He shook his head vigorously, trying to clear his thoughts. That tenant, Xie Lin, must be lying. He's just trying to stall for time. Yeah, that has to be it. He pulled out a cigarette, his hands shaking so badly it took him a few tries to light it. The BMW owner nearby leaned in. So, Manager Yang, what's the deal? When is that guy coming down to pay for the damages? Any minute now. Any minute. Yang Yiming forced a smile that looked worse than him crying. The owner's got a bit of an attitude, though. He's a real piece of work. But don't worry, he's not getting away with this. He reassured the car owners out loud, but inside, his heart was pounding. Truth be told, he hadn't actually seen which floor the window fell from. The whole scene was pure chaos at the time. Someone had looked up and yelled, "Looks like the 12th floor," and he just took their word for it. He had looked up the tenant info for the 12th floor, and found Xie Lin's phone number. He just wanted to pass the buck on this disaster as fast as possible. But, what if Xie Lin was telling the truth? What if the building really wasn't finished? Who'd take the fall for that? The developers? Or them, the property management? Yang Yiming didn't dare think about it. The more he thought, the more terrified he became. No, it absolutely cannot be an unfinished building. This has to be Xie Lin's fault. He's just a deadbeat trying to wriggle out of paying. Yes, exactly. After hyping himself up with these mental gymnastics, Yang Yiming's eyes turned vicious and cold once again. He stepped to the side and made a call. "Boss Lin, it's, little Yang from property management." His tone instantly shifted into a pathetic fawn, and he unconsciously bowed his back. A lazy, arrogant voice drifted from the other end of the line. "What is it, Boss Lin? We've had a tiny little incident at the property." Yang Yiming carefully chose his words. "Over at Phase 3, Building 12. I'm not sure how, but a window fell out. It smashed a few cars parked downstairs." "A window?" Boss Lin's voice instantly turned ice cold. "Which construction crew did the job? They can't even handle a simple thing like that?" No. Yang Yiming hastily backpedaled. "It wasn't a construction issue, Boss Lin. I checked. The window fell from apartment 201, which has already been handed over. It was an issue with the owner's own renovations." He lied through his teeth, without even blinking. He shifted the blame completely, washing his hands of it entirely. "The owner? Yes, I already contacted him. This punk has a terrible attitude. He's acting like a total deadbeat." Yang Yiming eagerly added fuel to the fire. "He even claimed our project is an unfinished scam. Said his floor isn't even fully built. He wants to use this as an excuse to extort us." He deliberately placed heavy emphasis on the word, scam, knowing full well that questioning the building's quality would trigger Boss Lin's absolute fury. And sure enough, after a few seconds of dead silence, Boss Lin's freezing voice cut through the phone. "What's his name? Xie Lin. I'm heading over right now. I'd like to see who dares to smear my company's name." A huge weight was instantly lifted off Yang Yiming's shoulders. He let out a long, heavy sigh of relief. Now that Boss Lin was involved, he was safe. Yang Yiming stubbed out his cigarette, plastering that fake, hypocritical smile back onto his face. He walked back to the angry car owners. "Don't worry, everyone. The big boss of the development company is on his way. If there's one thing he despises, it's these irresponsible deadbeats trying to shake people down for cash. You'll all get a perfectly satisfactory resolution today, I promise you." He patted his chest, sounding completely resolute, as if he were the very embodiment of justice. Not once did the thought cross his mind. What if Xie Lin was the one telling the truth? How exactly was this little farce he orchestrated going to end? Half an hour later, a sleek black Mercedes S-Class pulled into the parking lot. The door swung open, and a heavy-set man stepped out, sporting a Burberry shirt and a massive gold watch. This was Boss Lin, Lin Da Chang. Lin Da Chang glanced at the crushed cars, his eyebrows knotting tightly together. "Manager Yang, where is he?" His voice wasn't loud, but it carried a terrifyingly heavy presence. "Boss Lin, the punk is hiding in his apartment and refuses to come out." Lin Da Chang let out a cold scoff, pulling a blank check from his wallet. He scribbled a few words, tore it off, and handed it to Yang Hemming. "Give him 100,000. Tell him to shut up and take the blame." This was always his go-to move for dealing with things like this. Simple, brutal, and effective. Holding that check like it was a royal decree, the two of them, along with a few security guards, marched aggressively toward my place. I was just about to wash my instant noodle bowl when the doorbell rang, rushed and violently. I looked through the peephole and saw Yang Hemming's slimy, sycophantic face, and beside him, that fat guy with a face full of mean-looking blubber. I opened the door. What do you want? The moment Yang Hemming saw me, he instantly slapped on a stiff, all-business expression. Xie Lin, this is Mr. Lin, our developer. Mr. Lin took time out of his incredibly busy schedule to come here, specifically to solve your problem. He put heavy emphasis on the word, your, making it sound like I was the one causing all the trouble. Lin Dacheng looked me up and down, his eyes dripping with contempt. He looked at me like an ant he could easily crush with his fingers. Yang Hemming shoved the check in my face. Xie Lin, Mr. Lin is the bigger man here. He's not going to stoop to your level. Here is 100,000 bucks. Take it, then go down to the parking lot and sign the compensation agreement. We'll consider this whole mess settled. He said it with such absolute entitlement, as if he was granting me some sort of divine blessing. I looked at the check. The words, $100,000 exactly, were scrawled across it in flamboyant handwriting. I took it from him. The faintest, smug little smile crept onto Lin Dacheng's lips. He thought I had caved. But then, right in front of their faces, I ripped the check straight down the middle. Then I ripped it again. I tore it into tiny pieces. With a casual flick of my wrist, I tossed them into the air. The snow-white scraps of paper fluttered down around us like little butterflies, landing right on Yang Hemming and Lin Dacheng's shiny leather shoes. Yang Hemming's face instantly turned the color of purple liver. Lin Dacheng's smug smile froze completely on his face. He glared at me, his eyes as cold and venomous as a viper's. Listen here, you little punk. You've got a lot of nerve. He spat out every single word. I stared right back at him. You frame me, and then try to use 100,000 bucks to buy my silence? My voice wasn't loud, but the air around us seemed to instantly drop in temperature. Lin Dacheng let out a furious, mocking laugh. Good, 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 he sneered. Looks like if I don't teach you a hard lesson, you won't know who you're messing with. He shot a look at the security guards next to him. Those massive, burly guys immediately started closing in on me. The tension in the air instantly skyrocketed. You want to get physical? I took a step back and leaned casually against the doorframe. Be my guest, but before you throw a punch, I highly recommend we go take a little trip somewhere first. Lin Dacheng narrowed his eyes. Where to? Your development project, I said calmly. Emerald River Phase 3, Building 12. Didn't you claim that the window from my renovation fell off? Let's go to the scene together. Let's see if my apartment, Unit 1, 1201 even has a window to begin with. What do you say, Mr. Lin? My question was like a needle, piercing directly into Lin Dacheng's massive, bloated ego. His face turned a livid shade of pale as he glared deadly straight at me. Do you have the guts to go? Every single person in the hallway heard those words loud and clear. Security guards behind him, who had just been cracking their knuckles, were suddenly unsure of what to do. They all turned to look at their boss, a big-shot real estate developer, being publicly challenged by some nobody homeowner, asking if he had the guts to visit his very own construction site. It was an absolute, utter humiliation. Lin Dacheng's Adam's apple bobbed up and down. He squeezed the words through his gritted teeth. Why the hell wouldn't I? He forced down the raging fury burning in his chest, desperately trying to make it look like he was still in complete control of the situation. Listen, you little punk. I'm gonna make sure you go down knowing exactly why. He shot a sharp look at Yang Hemming. Call up those car owners. We are all going together. Let's just see what kind of stupid tricks you're trying to pull today. Yang Hemming looked like he had just been pardoned from death row, nodding his head furiously. He turned around to make a call. Hold on, I stopped him. Everyone's eyes locked onto me once again. It's just a few of us here, not quite enough for a real show. I pulled out my phone and opened WeChat, taking my sweet time. Lin Dacheng's eye twitched. What are you doing? I ignored him and went straight to the Jade River chat group with over 300 people. I typed out a message. Hello everyone, Phase 3 homeowners of Jade River. I'm Xie Lin, the owner of Unit 1201 in Building 12. Today, property management and the developer, Boss Lin, came looking for me. They claimed my window fell and smashed 5 cars downstairs, but as I recall, our Phase 3 construction has been abandoned for 2 years now, and Building 12 hasn't even been built up to the 12th floor. Now, Boss Lin and Manager Yang from property management want to drag me down to the site for a confrontation, to prove that it was my window that fell. I don't know much about construction, and I'm afraid they might try to scam me. Are there any neighbors who know the industry, or just have some free time, who want to come take a look together and act as a witness for me? The location is right here in the main city. See you all in half an hour. See you in half an hour. Then I put my phone away and looked up at Lin Dacheng and Young Hemming. Their faces were as dark as thunder. Boss Lin, there's strength in numbers, right? Plus, this way you can't say I'm bullying you. I gave a slight smile. Can we go now? Young Hemming's lips were trembling. He pointed at me, completely speechless for a good while. He never imagined I'd actually have the guts to blow this whole thing up in the homeowners chat. He knew better than anyone just how much anger had been building up in there against the developers and property management. This wasn't just looking for witnesses. This was throwing a lit bomb straight into a powder keg. Lin Dacheng's glare wasn't just cold anymore. It was pure, toxic hatred, like he wanted to eat me alive. He clenched his fists so hard that the veins on his hands bulged. He knew he was backed into a corner now. If he went now, he'd be facing Xie Lin and a mob of furious homeowners. If he didn't go, he'd look completely guilty. It would be admitting that everything Xie Lin said was true. No matter what he chose, he was destined to be completely humiliated today. And all of this was because the seemingly ordinary young man standing right in front of him had forced him into a dead end, step by step. Let's go. Lin Dacheng forced the words through gritted teeth. He threw his hands down aggressively and turned to head downstairs. His back radiated the furious, reckless energy of a man who had been pushed to the brink. Young Hemming and the other security guards scrambled after him like terrified rats. I closed the door and took my time changing my shoes. I knew today's show had only just begun, and not only was I the main character, I was the sole director. The front gate of the Jade River Phase 3 construction site had never been this packed before. A massive crowd was gathered around the rusty iron gate, standing shoulder to shoulder. There were the 5 unlucky car owners, all with miserable looks on their faces, sighing heavily as they looked at their ruined rides. Then there was Lin Dacheng and the security guards he brought along, all looking hostile, like a bunch of roosters ready for a cockfight. Young Hemming stood next to Lin Dacheng, wiping away sweat nonstop, his panicked eyes darting back and forth through the crowd. But the vast majority were the Jade River homeowners who had rushed over from every direction. My WeChat message had been like a depth charge, completely blowing up the usually dead group chat. The pent-up frustration from 2 years of waiting was finally ignited in this very moment. People brought their entire families, young and old, pouring in from every nearby neighborhood, packing the small construction site entrance so tightly that not even a drop of water could slip through. When I arrived, this was exactly what I saw. The crowd naturally parted to make a path for me. Xie Lin is here. Don't worry, Xie, we've got your back. That's right, there are hundreds of us standing right here today. Let's see what that developer can do about it. Voices of support echoed from all around me. I gave everyone a grateful nod. I walked straight up to Lin Dacheng. The security guards beside him instantly tensed up, instinctively trying to block my way. But Lin Dacheng just raised his hand and stopped them. With hundreds of eyes watching his every move, pulling petty tricks now would only make him look incredibly guilty. You sure know how to stir up a crowd. Lin Dacheng glared at me, letting out a cold sneer. What good does blowing this out of proportion do for you? I just want to get to the bottom of one simple fact. I replied calmly, and that is, how exactly did my window smash into that car? I didn't speak loudly, but every single person there heard me perfectly. A burst of mocking laughter erupted from the crowd. An older woman yelled at the top of her lungs, "Yeah, Boss Lin. We want to know too. How exactly does an unfinished building magically sprout windows? Did you developers use some kind of black magic to conjure it out of thin air?" That sarcastic jab set the whole crowd off. "Yeah, do a magic trick for us, Boss Lin. If you don't give us a straight answer today, nobody is leaving. Refund our money. Scam building. Refund." The crowd was furious. What started as demands for an explanation quickly escalated into a roaring chant for refunds. Lin Dacheng's face had gone from pale with anger to an ugly shade of purple. He had originally planned to use his money and power today to completely crush one disobedient homeowner. He never expected the tables to be turned on him like this. He had just dragged himself right into an ocean of public outrage. The way he looked at me was filled with sheer regret and pure murderous intent. He regretted underestimating me so much that he actually showed up in person. But more than anything, he wanted to murder me, the mastermind who stirred up all this trouble. "All of you, shut your mouths." Lin Dacheng suddenly let out a deafening roar. After all, he had been a boss for years. and that furious bellow actually shocked the crowd into a brief silence. He pointed right at me, and then stabbed a finger toward the lonely, unfinished building behind him. "You're saying the building didn't reach floor 12, right? Fine. Today, I'm going to prove you dead wrong. Young Hemming, open the main gates to the site. Let everyone inside to see for themselves." Lin Dacheng looked like a man with nothing to lose. "We're going up right now, and we'll count it, floor by floor. Today, I'm going to make everyone see with their own two eyes whether there's an issue with the building Lin Dacheng built, or if the real issue here is Xie Lin himself." He pointed directly at the crude concrete staircase leading up the building. "We will head straight to the door of Unit 1-201. With that, he took the lead, shoved the guards aside, and strode fiercely into the site. He looked just like a general marching off to the execution grounds, both tragically heroic and completely ridiculous. The crowd began to murmur. Nobody expected Lin Dacheng to actually dare to let everyone inside. Could he be telling the truth? Was the building actually built up to the 12th floor? Was Xie Lin the one lying all along? Countless pairs of doubtful eyes turned to stare at me in unison. I just smiled, stepped forward, and followed right behind him. The real show was finally about to begin. The construction site was in even worse shape than I imagined. The ground was littered with scrap rebar, rubble, and chunks of dried cement. A thick, dusty, and moldy stench hung heavily in the air. That so-called Building 12 looked like a massive, unfinished skeleton towering over the overgrown weeds. Lin Dacheng led the way at the very front, with Yang Hemming and a few security guards trailing behind him. Behind them was me, followed by a massive, dense crowd of angry homeowners. There were no working elevators. We had no choice but to take the stairs. The stairs were just a rough concrete frame, with no handrails at all. The edges were littered with rubble. One wrong step, and you'd easily twist your ankle. With every floor he climbed, Lin Dacheng seemed to be hyping himself up. His footsteps were heavy. His leather shoes clacked loudly against the raw cement. The homeowners trailed behind him, murmuring among themselves at first. But as they climbed higher and higher, the crowd slowly fell dead silent. Everyone was seeing it with their own eyes, sizing up the homes they had poured their blood, sweat, and tears into. The walls were bare, dull gray. They were covered in holes and construction markers. By the doorways of a lot of the units, someone had spray-painted warnings in bright red: water leaks, cracked walls, and worse. Some owners must have sneaked in earlier to inspect the place and left those marks. As we went higher up, the construction work looked more and more thrown together. By the 8th floor, there wasn't even paint on the interior walls, just a giant, hollow shell. By the time we hit the 9th floor, the floor was completely covered in piles of leftover building materials. Rusty rebar was just scattered everywhere. Young Hemming started dragging his feet, his forehead dripping with sweat. I couldn't tell if he was exhausted or just terrified. He kept sneaking glances back at me, his eyes wide with pure panic and silent begging. I just stared right back at him, totally deadpan. A bit too late to be begging for mercy now. 10th floor. Lin Dacheng's voice was getting pretty hoarse by then. He stood on the 10th floor landing, leaning hard against a bare concrete pillar, panting heavily. Up here, they hadn't even started laying the bricks for the exterior walls. Freezing wind howled through the empty window frames, biting into our faces. 11th floor. When he shouted that out, his voice was visibly shaking. The sight of the 11th floor made absolutely everyone gasp in horror. It was basically just a completely unfinished rooftop landing. The floor wasn't even leveled out, and right above our heads were exposed rebar and wooden concrete forms. The staircase going up just completely stopped dead right there. Past the end of those steps was nothing but empty, gloomy gray sky. There was no path to the 12th floor at all, let alone an actual 12th floor. The entire building capped off right at floor 11. Dead silence. The whole place went completely dead silent. Hundreds of people were just standing there on the 11th floor roof, shivering in the cold wind, staring at those chopped off stairs and the absolute nothingness beyond them. It finally clicked for everyone. From the very beginning, Xie Lin had been telling the truth. This whole farce, from the moment property manager Yang Hemming made that phone call, had been one massive, complete and utter lie. And, holy crap, Boss Lin? Yang Hemming's voice was shaking like a leaf. His face was ghostly pale, completely drained of blood. He pointed a trembling finger at the dead-end staircase. This. Where's the 12th floor? Lin Dacheng stood at the very top of the steps, his body frozen stiff as a statue. His head was down, hiding his expression from everyone. But everyone there could feel it. The aura pouring off him was absolutely devastating. Right there, in front of hundreds of furious homeowners, this big-shot developer didn't even know how many floors his own damn building had, and he had the nerve to march up here demanding a confrontation. He was an absolute joke, the biggest joke of the century. Out of nowhere in the crowd, someone finally broke and let out a laugh. And that laugh was like flipping a switch. Instantly, the pent-up roars of laughter, the heavy mockery, the furious cursing, echoed across the entire rooftop. Oh my god, it's really not built. I'm dying over here. Freaking badass, Boss Lin. Building apartments with your mind now, huh? Installing windows with your mind, and smashing cars with your mind too, huh, you scammer? You guys are just a bunch of frauds. Give us our money back. Refunds now. Amidst the overwhelming tsunami of mockery, Lin Dacheng jerked his head up. His eyes were blood red, completely bloodshot, like a wild beast backed into a corner. He locked his dead stare right on me, with a look that wished he could tear me into a million pieces. Meeting his gaze, I slowly walked over to that dead-end staircase. Then I lifted my foot and stepped onto the very highest step. Standing right next to Lin Dacheng, I reached out my hand, pointing to the space right above our heads. That completely empty void. Then I turned my head to look at him, using a voice that wasn't loud, but was just loud enough for him to hear clearly. Calmly asked, Boss Lin, where exactly is my window? My question was like the final straw, completely crushing Lin Dacheng's crumbling sanity. His bloodshot eyes stayed locked fiercely on me. It was a look mixed with extreme humiliation, pure venom, and absolute madness. He wanted to fight back, wanted to roar, wanted to attack me with the most vicious words imaginable. But he opened his mouth and couldn't even force out a single word. Because the truth was right there in front of us, cold and undeniable. There was absolutely nothing above our heads, only the cold wind howling past, as if ruthlessly mocking his sheer stupidity and arrogance. The roaring laughter from the crowd grew louder and louder, becoming completely unhinged. Hundreds of phones were held high in the air, their cameras acting like hundreds of watching eyes, capturing every bit of his incredibly pathetic state at this moment, greedily recording it all. These videos would soon spread to every single corner of this city. 100.078, making Lin Dacheng the absolute biggest laughingstock of the year. The dignity and authority he had spent his whole life building were ripped to shreds in this very moment, trampled right underfoot. You trash, you absolute piece of trash. Suddenly, Lin Dacheng let out a beast-like roar. He violently spun around and grabbed the collar of Yang Hemming, who was already scared out of his wits beside him. He had found his punching bag. Since he couldn't prove me wrong, he was going to dump all the blame and humiliation right onto the guy who started it all. It's all your fault. You were the one who told me his window fell off. You're the one who told me he was trying to extort us. You're the one who tricked me into coming here. Lin Dacheng's spit flew all over Yang Hemming's face. Looking like a furious lion, he violently shook Yang Hemming's body, which had already gone completely limp like mud. Yang Hemming was so terrified he was blabbering nonsense. A foul stench came from his pants. He had literally pissed himself right there on the spot. I didn't know. I swear I didn't know the building wasn't finished. You didn't know? Lin Dacheng delivered a stinging slap, viciously right across Yang Hemming's face. Smack. It echoed incredibly sharp and clear. The crowd's roaring laughter stopped in an instant. Everyone was completely stunned by this sudden turn of events. You're the damn property manager. You're in charge of this neighborhood, and you have the damn nerve to tell me that you don't know how many floors this building has? Lin Dacheng roared, delivering yet another vicious slap. You're a useless sack of garbage. You can't do anything right, you only ruin things. You've completely humiliated my entire company. It looked like he wanted to take every single ounce of humiliation he suffered today and pay it back double to Yang Hemming. Yang Hemming's mouth was bleeding from the beating. He was completely dazed. And yet, as the sheer terror and agonizing pain crashed into him, his primal survival instinct actually snapped him right back to reality. He knew he was absolutely dead meat today. Lin Dacheng was definitely going to use him as a scapegoat and make him take the fall for this, leaving him to face the wrath of the car owner and all the furious residents. Since he was doomed either way, he might as well drag someone down with him. It wasn't me. Yang Hemming suddenly burst with an unprecedented amount of courage. Using every ounce of his strength, he violently shoved Lin Dacheng away. It was you. You're the one who wanted to come here, he screamed, pointing right at Lin Dacheng. He yelled hysterically, when I reported to you on the phone. I told you that resident brought up the unfinished building, but you refused to believe it. You called him a scammer who just wanted to extort us for money. You were the one who said you wanted to come down here and deal with him. You wanted to teach him a lesson and show him who's boss. You even gave me a check for 100,000 yuan to shut him up. You wanted to use money to sweep this whole thing under the rug. Yang Hemming's words went off like a series of heavy bombs right in the middle of the crowd. If, before this, Lin Dacheng could still play the victim and pretend he was just a boss who had been deceived by his staff, kept completely in the dark, then Yang Hemming's desperate, cornered animal accusations right now completely ripped away his final shred of dignity. He wasn't deceived at all. He knew perfectly well that there was a problem, but he still chose to use his money and power to brutally silence them. And as a result, he messed with the wrong guy. The entire nature of the situation had changed. Lin Dacheng's face drained from a furious purple to a dead, sickly pale. He never expected Yang Hemming to publicly bite the hand that fed him. Like a madman, he lunged forward, desperately trying to shut Yang Hemming up. The two of them, one, a wealthy property developer, and the other, a property manager, right there on the 11th floor rooftop of this abandoned building, with hundreds of furious residents watching, started brawling with each other like two rabid dogs. I just stood off to the side, coldly watching this pathetic circus. Then, I pulled out my phone and dialed 110. Hello? Is this the police? I need to report a crime. I'm at the Emerald Riverside Phase 3 construction site. There are people here suspected of blackmail and extortion, and now a violent brawl has broken out. Yes, there's a massive crowd. The situation is completely spiraling out of control. Please, you need to get here as fast as you can. The wail of police sirens approached from the distance, slicing through the chaotic noise of the construction site. The flashing red and blue lights washed over everyone's faces, forcibly hitting the pause button on this utterly ridiculous freak show. Lin Dacheng and Yang Hemming, who were still tangled in a violent heap on the ground, froze instantly as if they had been hit with a paralyzing spell. They awkwardly scrambled to their feet, hastily straightening their torn and filthy clothes. Both of their faces were bruised and bloodied. They looked incredibly pathetic. The wealthy developer who was acting so arrogant and untouchable just moments ago, and his loyal property manager, were now cowering under the intimidating glare of the police lights. Like two little schoolboys caught in trouble, they kept their heads down, terrified to make a single sound. Several police officers pushed their way through the crowd. Leading them was an officer in his 40s, a middle-aged man with a strong, square jaw and incredibly sharp, piercing eyes. He sternly swept his gaze across the scene. His eyes lingered on the two bruised men and the huge crowd of residents holding up their phones, pausing on them for just a few tense seconds. Finally, his intense stare locked onto me. "Did you call the police?" he asked. I firmly nodded. "Yes, officer. What exactly is going on here? Give me the short version." But before I could even open my mouth, Lin Dacheng desperately beat me to it. He forced out a painfully awkward, nervous smile. "Officer, it's just a misunderstanding. A huge misunderstanding." He hurried over to the officer, patting his pockets to pull out a business card and some cigarettes. But his hands were violently shaking so badly that he just fumbled around awkwardly. It's just a minor dispute between our company and the residents. We had a little communication breakdown, and tempers flared a bit, that's all. Nothing serious. We can handle this privately amongst ourselves." He tried to downplay the entire thing, desperately attempting to brush off a major incident involving suspected blackmail and fraud. Public scandal, trying to frame it as an internal dispute that could be settled privately. The older officer gave him a look, didn't say a word, but just kept looking at me, signaling me to go on. I knew that this was the make or break moment that would decide how this whole thing played out. I couldn't afford to get all worked up like them, and I definitely couldn't exaggerate. All I needed to do was state the facts. "Officer, here's what happened." I laid out the whole thing, recounting everything from start to finish in the most objective, emotionless way possible. I didn't throw around any direct accusations, but every single word was a fatal blow against Lin Dacheng and Yang Hemming. The older officer fell dead silent after hearing me out. His sharp gaze swept back and forth between Lin Dacheng and Yang Hemming. As a veteran cop who'd seen it all, he instantly connected the dots and saw right through their little scheme. This was no longer just some simple civil dispute, making up a completely fake story, to shake someone down for a massive payout, along with a bunch of other shady moves that crossed the line into attempted extortion. Not to mention, there were hundreds of homeowners right there at the scene, absolutely furious over the unfinished housing mess. This was a ticking time bomb for a massive riot. He knew damn well this wasn't something they could just brush under the rug. Alright, I think I've got the picture. The older officer's face turned completely stern. All of you, Xie Lin, Lin Dacheng, Yang Hemming, you're all coming down to the station with me. To give a full statement, he then turned to the other officers and said, bring those drivers along too, they're involved in this. Disperse the rest of the crowd, tell them to clear out. Lin Dacheng's face went completely white. He knew that once you step into the precinct, the whole nature of the situation changes. Officer, please, we really don't need to. I said you're coming, so you're coming. Cut the crap. The older officer glared at him, leaving zero room for argument. Lin Dacheng had to swallow the rest of his words right there. And so, in front of everyone, I, the guy who called it in, Lin Dacheng and Yang Hemming as the prime suspects, along with those 5 utterly clueless drivers, were all hauled off the scene by the cops. I knew I had won the first round of this war, a total knockout, but this was only the beginning. What was coming next would be a far more brutal battlefield, fought in the courts and the court of public opinion. By the time I walked out of the precinct, it was already pitch black outside. The night breeze hit my face, carrying a slight chill, but it finally cleared up the massive headache I'd had all afternoon. I had spent nearly 3 hours giving my statement, going over every single detail of what I went through. Lin Dacheng and Yang Hemming were interrogated in separate rooms. I have no idea what they said, but from the little hints the handling officers dropped, those two had already completely turned on each other, pointing fingers and passing the buck, each claiming the other was the mastermind. As for how the law would finally see it, whether it was civil fraud or criminal extortion, that was totally up to the police investigation now. But at least for the short term, those bastards wouldn't be seeing a moment of peace. I got home, and the second I opened the door, I was absolutely bombarded by a massive flood of notification chimes from my phone. Hundreds of people in the homeowners group chat were frantically tagging me. Unread messages? 999 plus. The chat was overflowing with praises, hype, and a million questions. Me, Xie Lin, just an ordinary guy stuck with a rotting, unfinished apartment, had somehow accidentally become the absolute hero and the rock for hundreds of families today. Aside from WeChat, I also had over a dozen missed calls, mostly from unknown numbers. I picked one at random and dialed it back. The call connected almost instantly. Hello? Is this Mr. Xie Lin? A crisp female voice came through. I'm a reporter from the Zhangcheng Metropolis Daily. We saw the video of what went down at the Emerald Jiangnan construction site today, and we'd love to do an exclusive interview with you. Would you have some free time? A reporter? I paused for a second. Looks like the videos those homeowners shot on the roof are already blowing up online. Word was spreading way faster than I ever imagined. I politely turned down her interview request, telling her that it just wasn't a good time for me right now. After I hung up, I sank into deep thought. My original goal was super simple. I just wanted to clear my name and avoid being extorted out of 400,000. But now, things had spiraled completely out of my control. I was thrust right into the eye of the storm, becoming the absolute poster boy for the fight against those shady developers. It was a rare opportunity, sure, but also a massive risk. A guy like Lin Dacheng has been running things in Zhangcheng for years. His connections and power run deep, even though he totally embarrassed himself today. There's no way he's just going to let this go. The second he catches his breath, he's going to come back at me with a crazy vengeance. Going up against him all by myself? There's no way I can win that fight. I stared at all the hopeful messages flooding the homeowners group chat, and it suddenly hit me. I couldn't fight this battle alone anymore. I needed to bring the power of these hundreds of homeowners together. Turn my solo fight into a massive collective rebellion. That was the only way we'd have the leverage to take on Lin Dacheng. And the only way we'd actually have a shot at fixing this whole stalled housing project mess for good. Thinking about this, my mind completely cleared up. I fired up my laptop and started digging through legal codes online, looking for similar cases where people actually won. Just exposing one lie wasn't going to cut it. I needed to build an absolutely bulletproof case, something that would completely crush Lin Dacheng. Make him pay dearly for his arrogance and all the fraud he committed. I didn't just want a lame apology or a little bit of pocket change. What I really wanted was for every single homeowner to get back the homes that belong to us and finally get some long overdue justice. I scrolled through my contacts and found a name I hadn't called in ages. He was an old buddy from college who made it into the top law firm in Zhangcheng right after graduation. He was a senior partner now. It was definitely time to bring in the big guns. I took a massive, deep breath and dialed his number. "Hey man, it's me, Xie Lin. I've got a massive case. Are you interested?" As the call connected, that familiar, slightly sarcastic voice came through the speaker. Well, if it isn't the big boss, Xie Lin. Did the sun rise in the west today? I can't believe you actually remembered your poor working-class buddy. The guy on the phone was Wang Feng, my old college roommate who used to sleep in the top bunk. He was also the most brilliant guy in our law school class. So naturally, right after graduation, he got snapped up by the absolute best law firm in the city. With his insane talent and sheer hustle, it only took him a few years to become one of their youngest partners ever. But I wasn't in the mood to mess around, so I cut right to the chase. "Wang, man, something bad happened. I really need a huge favor." Hearing that, Wang Feng immediately dropped the jokes. His voice went totally serious. "What's going on? Take your time, talk to me." I spent the next 10 minutes breaking down the whole crazy story, from the moment I got Yang Hemming's call, all the way to getting dragged to the police station. I told him the whole story exactly as it happened. On the other end of the line, Wang Feng didn't say a word. He just listened quietly until I finished. He stayed silent for a few seconds, then let out a chuckle he just couldn't hold back. "Old Xie, you're not in trouble, man. You just hit the freaking jackpot." I was totally stunned by what he said. "What do you mean? I literally just got blackmailed and extorted right to my face, and you're telling me I hit the jackpot? You just don't get it." Wang Feng's voice was dripping with professional excitement. A simple fraud case over an unfinished building might involve a massive amount of money, but fighting that in court drags on forever. The developers have a million ways to stall you. They drag it out for 3 or 5 years, and most homeowners just give up because they can't afford the fight. But your case is completely different. He paused for a second, like he was trying to find the perfect words. Your case has the absolute perfect angle, an angle that will instantly blow up all over the media, and leave the developers completely defenseless, both legally and morally, and that angle is this imaginary window. Wang Feng hit the nail right on the head. He pointed out the absolute core of the issue. The developers' own stupidity and arrogance just handed you the ultimate gift. The property management colluding with the developers, using a completely made-up window to threaten a homeowner for $400,000. Is that headline explosive enough for you? Not a single media outlet is going to pass up a story like this. Do you know what this is? This is what we call, when life hands you a golden ticket, you'd be a fool not to cash it in. I honestly had to admire his professional instincts. Here I was, just trying to figure out how to survive Lin Dacheng's revenge, while he was already looking at the massive potential hiding behind this whole mess. "So, what exactly are you suggesting?" I asked. "It's simple." Wang Feng's voice turned sharp and totally focused. "We can't just focus on the fact that you personally got threatened. We need to fan the flames. We aim this fire straight at the root of the problem, the unfinished building itself. What we need to do isn't just about getting justice for you alone. It's about leading all the Phase 3 homeowners and hitting the developers with a massive class action lawsuit. Look, what happened to you today? That's our battle cry. I need you to post an announcement in the homeowners group chat right now. Rally everybody together and officially form a homeowners committee, so we can strike as one. You are literally their hero right now. Your words carry more weight than anyone else's. Second, organize a general meeting for all the owners ASAP. Get everyone who wants in on the class action lawsuit to sign a power of attorney right there on the spot. Collect all their house purchase contracts, their payment receipts. Gather absolutely every piece of evidence you can find. That is going to be our ammo in court. Third, and this is the most important part, I need you to organize every single video, voice recording, and photo from today, plus a copy of your police statement, and send it all to me. I'll have my team work through the night to draft the sharpest, most airtight legal notice and lawsuit you've ever seen. At the same time, I'm going to hook you up with some major media outlets. We have to go on the offensive here and seize complete control. Over the public narrative, scumbags like Lin Dacheng are absolutely terrified of the spotlight. So we're going to drag everything out into the blinding light and leave him with absolutely nowhere to hide. Wang Feng's logic was razor sharp, building up layer by layer. In an instant, my chaotic thoughts completely cleared up. He was right. He was absolutely right. There's only so much one person can do alone. The only way we're going to completely crush Lin Dacheng is if we unite every single person he's hurt and strike back as one unstoppable force. This seemingly deep-rooted tree. Alright, I replied in a deep voice. Let's do it your way. Legal fees? Don't even talk to me about money. Wang Feng said with a chuckle, man, if we win this case, the reputation and clout will be worth way more than millions in legal fees. Just put your mind at ease and focus entirely on what you need to do. Leave the legal stuff to me. Hanging up the phone, I felt a long-lost fire roaring in my chest. I stared at my phone, at the homeowner group chat that was still blowing up with notifications. I knew a real, brutal battle was about to begin. I didn't hesitate anymore. Opening that familiar group chat, I took a deep breath and started typing out a message. An announcement that would decide the fate of everyone involved. To all my neighbors in Jade Riverview Phase 3. This is Xie Lin. Thank you all for your support today. But just exposing one lie is simply not enough. Our ultimate goal is to take back the homes that rightfully belong to us. I have already consulted with a professional lawyer, and we have decided to file a class action lawsuit against the developers. Our legal weapons are ready. Now, we need the strength of every single one of you. I propose we hold our first general homeowners meeting this Saturday morning at 10 o'clock at the community center next door. We will elect a homeowners committee and sign the necessary legal documents. I am not just doing this for myself, but for all of us. If you are ready to fight, please be there. My message was like a flare, instantly lighting up the dead of night. After a brief moment of silence in the group chat, it erupted with an energy, more explosive and passionate than ever before. People started an endless chain of sign-ups and messages of support. 2 years of pent-up anger and crushing disappointment had finally found a real, shining outlet in this very moment. People stopped their endless complaining and cursing, and actually started discussing how to take action. They talked about how they could pitch in and do their part for the upcoming battle. Seeing all of this, the last shred of doubt in my mind completely vanished. Once the power of the people is awakened and organized, it becomes absolutely unstoppable. Meanwhile, inside an exclusive, top-tier private club in River City, the atmosphere was as suffocatingly cold as an icebox. Lin Dacheng sat on a ridiculously expensive mahogany sofa, his face dark and furious. The bloody scratch marks left by Yang Hemming on his face were still clearly visible. There was a patch of gauze taped to his forehead, making him look both ridiculous and downright sinister. He had just gotten out of the police station. He had to pull a ton of strings just to barely secure bail, but he knew perfectly well that this was only temporary. Today's mess had blown up way too much. With hundreds of witnesses and videos flying all over the internet, the cops weren't going to let him off the hook easily. Boss Lin, the online backlash is looking really bad for us right now. A man wearing an Armani suit and gold-rimmed glasses sat across from him, his expression grim. He was Lin Dacheng's legal advisor, Attorney Qian, and he was known as River City's top damage control expert, specializing in making all kinds of shady, under-the-table problems disappear for the wealthy. That punk named Xie Lin, and the videos recorded by the homeowners today have already hit the front pages of several local news apps. The headlines are absolutely brutal. Developer fabricates fake rooms, extorts 400,000 from homeowners of unfinished project. Some are even worse, calling us straight-up gangsters. Attorney Qian scrolled through his tablet, looking sicker by the second. Lin Dacheng violently snatched the crystal ashtray off the table and hurled it viciously against the marble wall opposite him. The ashtray shattered to pieces with a deafening crash. Some worthless little shit who popped out of nowhere actually dares to walk all over me. Lin Dacheng's chest heaved violently, the sheer malice in his eyes practically spilling over. He had dominated the business world for over a decade. There wasn't a type of person he hadn't dealt with, nor a tough nut he couldn't crack. He never expected to think I tripped up so hard today over some wet behind-the-ears punk. Old Qian, I don't care what you have to do. He pointed his finger right at Lawyer Qian's nose, spitting out every word. I want him gone, erased, from Zhangcheng, from this whole damn world, completely wiped out. Lawyer Qian pushed up his glasses. A cold, calculating gleam flashed behind the lenses. Boss Lin, we live in a society of laws now. Using those extreme methods is way too risky. Especially right now, with all eyes on us. If something happens to him, you'd be the very first suspect. Then what the hell do you suggest? Just sit back and watch him jump around out there, rallying up that bunch of broke losers to sue me? If they actually get a class action suit off the ground, they'll drag the whole company down with them. Lin Dacheng roared, which is exactly why we can't let him gather those people together. Lawyer Qian's tone was chillingly calm and steady. When dealing with these kind of mob mentalities, the best move is never to clash head-on. We break them apart from the inside out. He held up 3 fingers. Number 1. Divide and conquer. There's no way those hundreds of homeowners are completely united. Some of them are desperate for cash, and some are just plain cowards terrified of trouble. We send our people to make contact immediately, slip them some sweet deals under the table, have them sign NDAs, and get them to drop out. The moment one person backs out, a second and a third will follow. Once doubt sets in, their little alliance will crumble. Number 2. Smear campaign. That guy, Xie, isn't he playing their little hero right now? We'll drag his ass right off that pedestal. Dig into his background, his family, his job, his past. I refuse to believe he's a saint. There's no way we can't dig up some dirty laundry. We just need to find one single stain. Then we pay off internet trolls to spread it like wildfire. We paint him as a greedy opportunist who's only out for himself. Manipulative schemer stirring up the crowd for his own agenda. Once a hero's image is tainted, people will despise him even more than a regular nobody. Number 3. Apply the pressure. Leave the legal warfare to me. I'll put together a top-tier legal team to bury him in court. You just focus on pulling those strings you have in the government. Have a little chat with the right departments. It's just a standard class action suit. We stall it, drag out the hearings, and trap them in endless red tape. Give it enough time, and whatever fight those homeowners have left will be completely ground down. Lawyer Qian's strategy was crystal clear, and absolutely venomous. It slowly cooled Lin Dacheng's explosive rage. He sank back into the sofa, that familiar, vicious sneer creeping back onto his face. Perfect, just perfect. Old Qian, you always were the brains of the operation. He snatched up his phone and dialed a number. Black Dog? It's me. I need you to run a background check on a guy named Xie Lin. He lives over at, yeah, I want you to dig up every single thing about him since he was a kid. Turn his whole life upside down. And while you're at it, do something else for me. The tenant roster for Phase 3 of Emerald Riverside. I'll send it over in a minute. Get a few of your sharpest guys, and pay them a little visit, one by one. Remind them exactly what happens when you cross Lin Dacheng. He hung up the phone. Lin Dacheng grabbed his glass of red wine and downed it in one gulp. He stared out the window at the blazing city lights, the panic in his eyes completely gone. In its place was the cold, venomous glare of a viper. Kid, the game is just getting started. Saturday's homeowners' assembly was an even bigger success than I had hoped for. The community center was packed to the brim with a sea of people. Even the aisles and the doorways were completely jammed. At a rough guess, no less than 300 households showed up. Wang Feng even brought his 2 assistants along in person, offering the homeowners free legal advice. And right there on the spot, he answered all kinds of technical questions about the unfinished building project. The atmosphere at the meeting was incredibly fired up. With me hosting, we successfully passed the committee bylaws, and with an overwhelming majority of the votes, we elected a 7-person homeowners committee. Without any surprise, I was elected as the chairman. With the help of Wang Feng's team, we collected over 260 authorization letters signed by the homeowners themselves, along with a mountain of housing purchase contracts, bank statements, and other pieces of evidence. Looking at that massive stack of authorization letters, I was overwhelmed with a mix of emotions. These weren't just pieces of legal paper. They represented the heavy trust and hopes of over 200 families. But Lin Dacheng's counterattack came much faster and was far more vicious than I'd imagined. First thing Monday morning, I got a frantic call from one of the homeowners. His name was Chen Wenxing, a teacher in his 50s, and also one of our committee members. Over the phone, old Chen's voice was shaking with pure terror, like he was about to cry. Xie Lin, it's awful, something happened. Chen, hey, don't panic. Take a breath and tell me, what happened? My heart totally sank, and I instantly knew something was very wrong. This morning, I went downstairs to drive to work, and I found that all 4 tires on my car had been totally slashed, and there was red paint splashed all over the windows, spelling out, "Watch your back." Old Chen's voice was violently trembling. My wife was so terrified she collapsed right there on the spot. "Xie Lin, those bastards. They're coming straight for us." Was this his way of warning me? I instantly clenched my fists. Well played, Lin Dacheng. What a vicious little warning shot. He didn't have the guts to come after me directly, so he targeted the regular folks instead. He knew exactly how much psychological damage this kind of sick intimidation could do to an ordinary family. "Chen, don't panic, and whatever you do, don't touch the car. Keep the scene exactly as it is. I'm calling the cops right now. Then I'll be right over." While trying to calm him down, I quickly dialed Wang Feng's number and told him exactly what was going down. Wang Feng just let out a cold laugh over the phone. Perfect timing. I was actually worried he'd hide in his shell like a coward. The more he pulls these stunts, the faster he's digging his own grave. Keep that homeowner calm. Tell him this isn't a disaster. It's actually the greatest weapon we have to hit them back. Make sure all the evidence is preserved. I'll get the police to open a formal investigation. This is blatant intimidation and malicious destruction of property. That's more than enough to make him suffer. Wang Feng's cool, professional tone gave me a massive boost of confidence. I immediately rushed over to Old Chen's neighborhood. The cops had already set up a police line. Old Chen and his wife were standing off to the side, looking absolutely pale and shaken. A whole crowd of neighbors had gathered around, all whispering and gossiping. I walked straight up and patted Old Chen on the shoulder. "Chen," I said firmly, "don't be scared. The fact that they pulled this stunt just proves how terrified they are. They're terrified of us standing together. Terrified that we're actually fighting back with the law. This isn't a warning. This is the desperate flailing of a dying animal." I raised my voice, making sure all the neighbors around us could hear me loud and clear. "Listen up, everyone. Do you see this? These are the dirty tricks that developer plays. They don't have the guts to face us in court, or debate us in the light of day. They just use these cheap, dirty tricks to scare us." The crowd's anger flared up again. Lin Dacheng's scare tactics didn't break our spirit at all. Instead, it fired everyone up, uniting us against a common enemy. Seeing this, a huge weight lifted off my chest. I stepped aside and dialed a number I had saved, but never actually called back. Zhangcheng Metro Daily. "Hello? Is this reporter Chen? This is Xie Lin. Mr. Xie. Hello, hello. I've been waiting for your call." The woman on the other end sounded super excited. "I've decided to accept your interview," I said calmly. "But not just an exclusive interview with me. I need your help organizing a press conference. Our Emerald Jiangnan Homeowners Committee has some major proof to release to the public." "Proof? What kind of proof?" Reporter Chen asked sharply. "A complete chain of evidence showing how the developers totally fabricated facts for their little shakedown. The latest proof of how they used mob-style tactics to bully and terrorize the homeowners. And concerning the unfinished Emerald Jiangnan project, the much deeper, shady dealings hiding behind it." With every word I said, I could hear her gasping and frantically typing on her keyboard. "Mr. Xie, don't you worry. This is absolutely the front page headline of the year. Our paper will organize the press conference for you. We'll invite all the influential media in Zhangcheng. No, the whole province." Reporter Chen promised excitedly. "Let's set it for the day after tomorrow, at 10 a.m. We'll find a conference hall big enough for this." "All right, it's a deal." Hanging up the phone, I looked at the wrecked car and those glaring red words, "You're dead," painted on it. "Lin Dacheng, you wanna play games? Then I'll play in the big leagues with you. I'm going to expose every single one of your plots and all your filth under the spotlight for the whole city, no, the whole country to see. Let's see where a venomous snake like you, hiding in the gutter, can run to when the sunlight hits every dark corner." At the press conference, the camera flashes were as bright as day. A massive battery of microphones thrust toward the stage from all directions. Like an impenetrable metallic forest, almost every name-brand media outlet in Zhangcheng showed up. TV station cameras formed a high wall in the back row. The reporters in the front row were scribbling furiously or holding up their phones to livestream. I sat right in the center of the stage. Next to me, wearing a crisp, sharp suit and looking incredibly professional and capable, was Wang Feng. The other members of the homeowners committee, including Chen Wenxing, who still looked a bit pale, sat just behind us to the side. acting as representatives for all the homeowners. Below the stage were nearly 100 pairs of eyes, burning with curiosity and excitement. They were the sharks with the sharpest sense of smell, and today, they smelled blood in the water. I cleared my throat, leaned into the microphone, and spoke in a tone so calm it was almost cold. Friends from the media, good morning, everyone. I am Xie Lin, from Emerald Jiangnan Phase 3, Building 12, Unit 1. Apartment 201. The room instantly fell dead silent. The only sound left was the rapid clicking of camera shutters. I invited you all here today to clear the air about something, and to reveal some hard truths to the public. Pressed the spacebar on the laptop in front of me, and on the big screen behind me. A high-definition photo instantly popped up. It was a lonely, unfinished building. The focus of the photo was locked onto that staircase on the 11th floor. That just abruptly ended in midair. A few days ago, I got a call from Manager Yang at the Emerald Riverside Property Management. He claimed that from my apartment, Unit 1201, a window had fallen out. It smashed 5 cars parked downstairs, and he demanded I pay a whopping 400,000 yuan. The moment I said that, a wave of uncontrollable gasps and whispers erupted among the crowd of reporters. Even though many of them had already seen the viral videos online, hearing it straight from the victim's mouth right now still carried an incredibly strong sense of absurdity and shock. This photo you are all looking at right now was taken right after the incident, when I went to inspect the site with the developer, Mr. Lin Dacheng, Manager Yang, and over 100 other homeowners. The truth is, the 12th floor, where my apartment is supposed to be, was never even built. I hit the spacebar again, and a video started playing on the screen. It was the exact moment of our confrontation on the rooftop. Lin Dacheng, completely flustered and furious, pointed at the empty air and demanded to know why I was brainwashing everyone. And then came the classic clip where I calmly asked him back, "Where exactly is my window?" The footage was a bit shaky, but the conversation was crystal clear. Lin Dacheng's fake tough guy act, my calm comeback, and the roaring laughter from the homeowners all around us created an extremely dramatic and hilarious contrast. The reporters' eyes lit up instantly. This was the most direct, sensational news material ever. A non-existent floor, a non-existent window. Yet I was being asked to pay out 400,000 yuan. I paused the video and swept my gaze across the entire room. I'd like to ask everyone here, what kind of behavior is this? I didn't label it directly, but instead threw the question out to the whole crowd. But the answer was already obvious. Without waiting for the reporters to ask, I kept going. However, the story is far from over. When we, the homeowners, decided to stand together and use the law to protect our rightful interests, what we got wasn't an apology or a solution from the developer. Instead, we were met with even more despicable intimidation and dirty payback. I switched the slide once again. A series of shocking photos appeared on the big screen. A white sedan, its 4 tires completely slashed and deflated, and right across the windshield, glaring red spray paint spelled out a vicious threat, "You're dead." Meet, this belongs to a member of our homeowners committee, Mr. Chen Wenxing. I pointed at old Chen beside me. At my signal, old Chen stood up and gave a heavy, sorrowful nod to the cameras. Just the morning before last, when Mr. Chen was getting ready for work, he found his car destroyed like this. This is the developer's response to us. They don't have the guts to face our demands head-on, so they resort to these shady, underhanded tactics to scare us. The room exploded into an uproar. If the window incident from earlier had a touch of dark, absurd comedy to it, then this bloody and vicious intimidation made everyone feel a chilling, bone-deep anger. This is no longer a simple business dispute. This is a blatant provocation. I gave Wang Feng a meaningful look. Wang Feng understood immediately. He picked up the microphone in front of him. "Hello, everyone. I am the legal counsel for Mr. Xie Lin and the Emerald Jiangnan Homeowners Association, Wang Feng." The moment he spoke, he exuded the aura of a top-tier lawyer. Based on the facts presented, we believe that the actions of the developers and property management staff have gone far beyond civil infringement. By aiming to take illegal possession and using fabricated lies to intimidate homeowners into handing over massive amounts of money, they are heavily suspected of attempted extortion. Their subsequent acts of terrorizing the committee members, like spray painting and slashing tires, are suspected of constituting criminal mischief and intentional destruction of property. Every charge Wang Feng listed, hit like a heavy sledgehammer, smashing hard into everyone's hearts. Here and now, we officially announce to the public that we have represented over 260 households from Phase 3 of Emerald Jiangnan and to the Zhangcheng People's Court. We have formally submitted a class action lawsuit. We demand the developer immediately stop their harassment, compensate for the damages, and fulfill their contractual obligations as soon as possible to complete the remaining construction of the project. At the same time, we have also gathered the relevant criminal evidence, compiled it into a comprehensive case file, and submitted it to the police and the prosecutor's office. We firmly believe that the law will give us a fair ruling. Wang Feng's words were powerful and perfectly logical, instantly elevating the entire situation from a mere local gossip story to a serious legal battle. Finally, the microphone was passed back to me. I stood up and took a deep bow toward all the cameras in the audience. My friends in the media, we are standing up today not just for ourselves, but for all the ordinary families out there, just like us, who have drained the life savings of 3 generations, only to end up with an unfinished, abandoned apartment. We don't just want compensation. We don't want your pity. What we want is justice. We want the dignity of the law upheld. We want the safe, warm home that we rightfully deserve. Thank you all. After I finished speaking, I stood up straight. The room fell dead silent for 3 seconds, and then, like a powder keg going off, countless hands shot up into the air, and a tidal wave of questions flooded in. The press conference had reached its absolute climax, but I knew that in this very moment, the horn of war had truly been sounded. Lin Dacheng was watching the live broadcast of this press conference from the lounge of his private golf course. On the massive LCD screen was the exact footage of Wang Feng and me delivering our impassioned speeches on stage. When the screen flashed the photo of the car with slashed tires, spray painted with the words, "Asking to die," in bright red paint, Lin Dacheng violently shot up from his seat. The face of lawyer Qian next to him instantly turned incredibly grim. Those absolute morons, I told them to divide and pressure them. Who told them to pull this kind of brainless stunt and leave a paper trail? Lin Dacheng was shaking with absolute rage. He grabbed a priceless cigar from the table next to him, smashed it viciously onto the floor, and ground it to dust under his expensive, custom-made leather shoes. He never expected that right after setting up his pawns, their counterattack would come so incredibly fast, and be so damn lethal. This isn't just a simple counterattack anymore. This is a carefully orchestrated trial by media. That Xie kid and his lawyer laid everything right out on the table, exposed it right under the noses of the entire city. Not only were they unfazed, but they actually used this intimidation tactic to paint themselves as the tragic victims. They've seized the absolute moral high ground. Boss Lin, now is not the time to lose your temper. Lawyer Qian forced himself to stay calm. His mind was racing. Our top priority is to sever all ties to this mess immediately. The guys who got physical need to disappear right now. We absolutely cannot let the cops trace this back to us. You think I don't know that? Lin Dacheng roared into the phone, barking orders at his subordinate who handled all the dirty work. He slammed the phone down. Like a wild beast trapped in a cage, he paced back and forth across the room in a frenzy. On the screen, the press Q&A had already begun. Each sharp question felt like a dagger, piercing right through his chest. Mr. Xie, aren't you afraid of Lin Dacheng retaliating? On the screen, facing the question, Xie Lin just gave a calm, composed smile. If a citizen in our society, just for defending their own legal rights, has to live in fear of retaliation, then that is what we should all truly be afraid of. I believe in the law, and I trust the authorities. But what truly filled him with dread was that less than half an hour after the press conference ended, his phone started ringing off the hook. The first call was from the bank. From a guy who usually bowed and scraped to him. "Hey, Boss Lin, where are you right now? Have you seen the news? Ah, man, this has blown up way too big. The main branch just sent down a notice. They need to reassess your company's credit risk. That development loan for the next quarter might have to be put on hold for a bit." The second call was from Urban Development. "Dacheng, what the hell did you do? How did you let a tiny issue like this leak to the media? Everyone knows about it now. That issue with your Phase 3 project. An investigation team is already gearing up to step in. You're on your own, man." The third, the fourth, the fifth call. Partners, suppliers, you name it. Every single call felt like a bucket of ice water dumped right over his head, chilling him straight to the bone. Everyone was avoiding him like the plague, scrambling to cut all ties. The business empire he had painstakingly built for over a decade was crumbling like wet paper under the crushing weight of the media backlash. When the tree falls, the monkeys scatter. No, the tree hadn't even fallen yet, but the monkeys were already swinging to higher branches. Lawyer Qian looked at the utterly defeated Lin Dacheng. Knowing the situation had gone straight to hell, his original three-step strategy, divide, smear, and pressure, was ruined. Step 1, divide, had immediately triggered a massive counterattack from them. Step 3, pressure, had completely backfired thanks to the authorities stepping in. Now, they only had one last card to play: the smear campaign. Boss Lin. The lawyer stepped right up to Lin Dacheng, dropping his voice to a dead whisper. It's come to this. We've got to make a risky move. Playing by the rules isn't working anymore. We need to completely destroy his reputation. Once his public image crumbles, every single word he says and everything he does will have a massive question mark hanging over it. Lin Dacheng looked like he was clutching at his very last lifeline. A tiny spark of hope reignited in his bloodshot eyes. Any news from their end? Did you dig anything up? Yeah, we found a little something. A vicious, calculating glint flashed in Lawyer Qian's eyes. That guy, Xie Lin, 3 years ago, he got fired from his last company. The reason? Embezzling company funds. Embezzling company funds? Lin Dacheng's eyes instantly lit up. Is that really true? Do we have solid proof? They never reported it to the police back then, just handled it internally. Word is, he took a business payment of $50,000 and transferred it right into his own personal bank account. The company's accounting department caught him red-handed. Afterwards, he returned the money. So the company didn't press criminal charges, they just fired his ass. Lawyer Qian explained, even though he doesn't have a criminal record, this is more than enough for us to spin a massive story. Haha, brilliant. This is just brilliant. Lin Dacheng rubbed his hands together in pure, malicious excitement. A guy with a history of embezzling company money, suddenly jumping out to play the leader, claiming he's fighting for the people? Who's gonna believe him now? He's nothing but a fraud trying to get famous and make a quick buck off this whole mess. He could already perfectly picture the scene of Xie Lin being cursed and spat on by thousands of people. Old Qian, get on this immediately. Pay for the absolute best internet trolls money can buy. I want this news spread to every single corner of the web. I'm gonna turn him from a hero into a rat scampering across the street. Lawyer Qian nodded, a scheming gleam flickering in his eyes. Don't you worry, Boss Lin. The waters run incredibly deep on the internet battlefield. An ordinary guy wanting to fight against the big money players? He's way too green for that. He pulled out his phone and started making contacts, reaching out to that shady gray empire hidden deep in the dark corners of the web. He knew this was their absolute last shot. If they failed again this time, what awaited Lin Dacheng and himself would be a bottomless abyss of absolute ruin. The massive smear campaign kicked off completely under the radar on the second night after the press conference. The very first signs of trouble popped up on Zhang Cheng's biggest local internet forum. A post with the headline, "Shocking Twist. The Unfinished Buildings. Crusader hero, Xie Lin, once fired for embezzlement." This very post was suddenly published by a brand new, anonymous user account. The content of the post was incredibly convincing, painting a vivid picture. It detailed exactly how, 3 years ago, Xie Lin, while working at a company called Hongda Tech, abused his position to wire a company payment of $50,000 right into his personal bank account, and how he got caught, forced to return the dirty money, and secretly fired. The post even included supposedly leaked screenshot from their internal chat. Even though the sensitive details were blurred out, the format and tone of it actually looked pretty damn credible. The moment this post went live, a massive flood of upvotes and comments instantly shoved it right to the very top of the forum's front page. Holy crap, is this for real? Talk about a crazy plot twist. I freaking knew it. Nobody in this world is that perfect. Turns out he's just a dirty thief. Gives me the creeps just thinking about it. A guy who literally stole company money is now leading hundreds of homeowners into a massive lawsuit? Take a wild guess what his real motive is. Don't tell me he's trying to squeeze a massive hush money payout from the developers just so he can pocket the whole thing for himself. The guy above makes total sense. His public image crashed way too fast. As someone just here for the drama, I'm totally lost. Just like that, countless accounts that looked perfectly like everyday internet users. Using almost the exact same script, repeatedly emphasizing the embezzlement of company funds, and keywords like character flaws and ulterior motives. A carefully orchestrated smear campaign, trying to drag me off my pedestal as a hero of people's rights, right down into the mud. Wang Feng told me about this situation right away. On the phone, his voice was as calm as ever. "Old Xie, don't panic. This is exactly what we expected. The other side is making their move. Embezzling company funds?" When I heard this accusation, I was stunned for a second, then I just laughed out of pure anger. They really know how to make things up. 3 years ago, that incident wasn't embezzlement at all. What exactly happened? Wang Feng pressed. I gave him a brief explanation. 3 years ago, I was working in sales at that company. At the time, I had just closed a deal with a client. They were in a rush for the goods, but the company's financial process was painfully slow. So, to avoid delaying the shipment, I used my own money to cover the payment for the company first. And then I had the client transfer the money directly to my card. I reported this whole transaction to my direct supervisor beforehand, and I kept all the chat logs and transfer receipts. Later on, the company got a new financial director. To establish his authority and run an internal purge, he dug up this whole incident of mine and insisted that it was a violation of the rules, claiming there was suspicion of embezzling company funds, even though I brought out all the evidence and proved my innocence. That financial director, eager to flex his muscles as the new boss, still insisted that I broke the rules. In the end, the company fired me on the grounds of severely violating financial policies. I was young and hot-headed back then, so I couldn't be bothered to argue with them. I just took my severance pay and left. I never expected that this ancient history would actually be dug up by Lin Dacheng and his gang, and twisted into what it is now. Wang Feng was silent for a few seconds after hearing this, and then he laughed. So that's how it is. Old Xie, not only is this not a scandal, it's actually a massive gift. What do you mean? I asked, confused. Think about it. They racked their brains, investigated you inside and out from childhood to now, and in the end, all they could come up with was this twisted, dusty old piece of history to attack you. What does that tell you? Wang Feng asked me back. It clicked instantly. It means my record is so clean, it leaves them absolutely desperate. Exactly, Wang Feng laughed. They can't find a single real stain on you, so they have to resort to spreading rumors. And rumors are the easiest things to puncture. Don't do anything right now. Do not respond to this in any public setting. Let them put on their little show. The bigger the fuss they make, the better. Why? Because the higher they climb, the harder they fall. Wait until they've whetted everyone's appetite and hyped up the idea that Xie Lin has a character flaw to the absolute max. Then, we slam down the complete chain of evidence all at once. When that happens, the public backlash will be fiercer than ever before. Lin Dacheng is literally putting his own life on the line to endorse you. I couldn't help but admire Wang Feng's strategic mind. He can always spot the most advantageous opportunity in the most dangerous situations. Meanwhile, the homeowners group chat had also exploded. Those online rumors had inevitably made their way into the chat. I watched the endless back and forth discussions in the group, knowing I had to say something to steady their nerves. I didn't write a massive essay to explain myself, and I didn't fire back with an angry rebuttal. I simply sent a very short message to the group. Dear neighbors, thank you all for your concern. As for the rumors online, I just have one thing to say. The truth will always come out. Our real enemy here is the WL developer, not me. And as for my past, please don't let their dirty tricks distract you. From the very beginning, we've only had one goal, and that is to get our homes back. Tomorrow morning, lawyer Wang Feng will issue an official statement on our behalf, answering every single accusation. Please, trust in the law and trust the facts. My words worked like a charm, and the panicked group chat of homeowners finally started to calm down. The vast majority of them chose to trust me, to trust the guy who helped them expose the developer's lies. Meanwhile, I was following Wang Feng's instructions to the letter, gathering all the evidence I had saved from 3 years ago, screenshots of my chats with management, receipts of the money I fronted for the company, bank statements showing the client's payments to me, as well as my official termination letter from back then. I zipped it all up and emailed it straight to him. Lin Dacheng, lawyer Qian, you want to play the media game? Fine, then I'll show you exactly what it means to dig your own grave. The internet storm was way more brutal than lawyer Qian had anticipated. The fake scandal about Xie Lin embezzling company funds, pushed hard by paid internet bots, really did hijack the trending topics across all major platforms in no time. But the hype was entirely manufactured. It was just too obvious. Way too many accounts were using the exact same phrasing, copy-pasting identical comments all over the place. This perfectly synchronized attack quickly made real people suspicious and annoyed. I mean, what's going on? I woke up, and suddenly everyone is trashing Xie Lin's character? That's way too much of a coincidence. I clicked on the profiles of the worst haters, and guess what? They were all registered today. Or they were dead accounts with 0 previous posts. The bot activity was just glaringly obvious. Does the developer think people are complete idiots? I'm actually starting to believe Xie Lin now. If there really was so much dirt on him, why would it only drop right after the press conference? Right when the developer is backed into a corner. This is just a desperate diversion. No, this is just a cornered R. At grasping at straws, instead of a massive wave of hate directed at me. The internet quickly split into 2 camps. One side was the paid bots and the gullible people who bought into their narrative, while the other side was made up of rational, independent thinkers who smelled something fishy. The 2 sides started an absolute war online, pushing the hype around this whole mess to levels we had never seen before. It felt like everyone was holding their breath, waiting for a final verdict. Waiting for Xie Lin himself, or his lawyer, to step up and make a statement. Lin Dacheng and lawyer Qian were clearly thrilled with this outcome. As far as they were concerned, once the seed of doubt was planted, it was only a matter of time before it took root. As long as they kept hammering on the idea that Xie Lin was a bad guy, it would inevitably crush the morale of the homeowners. They didn't need everyone to believe the lies, just a handful of people was enough. And their mission would be accomplished. And honestly, cracks were starting to show in the group chat. The first ones to panic were the investors. The people whose lives wouldn't be completely ruined by an unfinished building. One guy, whose profile picture was literally a vacation in Hawaii, dropped a massive text block in the chat. Hey everyone, don't you think we're being a bit too reckless? None of us even knew this Xie Lin guy before all this. Who knows what kind of person he really is? We certainly don't. Everyone online is saying it now. There's no smoke without fire, right? What if he really made some secret deal with the developer behind our backs? And just sold us all out? Who are we gonna cry to when that happens? His words immediately got some people nodding along. Yeah, a class action lawsuit sounds great and all, but what if we actually lose? I mean, seriously, we wouldn't even have a single shred of bargaining power left against the developer. I heard some people already got calls from the developer. They said they're willing to refund the houses at the original price, plus a little extra for interest. Even though it's a bit of a loss, it's still way better than losing absolutely everything, right? I've decided to back out. The elderly folks in my family aren't in good health, and we really just can't afford to be dragged through this anymore. I'm so sorry, Xie Lin. After typing out that message, that homeowner quietly left the group chat. Once the first person left, a second and a third quickly followed. In just one short hour, over a dozen homeowners had quit the chat. They even contacted Wang Feng's assistant to withdraw their legal representation. Lin Dacheng's divide and conquer tactics, paired with his vicious smear campaign, were finally starting to show their destructive power. The atmosphere in the group chat became incredibly heavy and suffocating. Even though the remaining homeowners were still trying to cheer each other up, everyone could feel it. That momentum we had just managed to build was being chipped away, little by little. Right at that moment, I finally sent out a message in the group, saying that the truth will eventually speak for itself. My statement acted like a shot of adrenaline, temporarily stabilizing most people's emotions. Especially Chen Wenxing and a few other core members of the owners' committee, who immediately stepped up to firmly support me. They slammed the people who left as cowards and traitors, urging everyone to trust me and trust the law. But deep down, I knew this kind of verbal support was fragile. If we couldn't produce solid, undeniable evidence soon to completely crush these rumors, then this crack would only grow wider and wider until our entire alliance totally collapsed. It was late into the night, but I couldn't sleep at all. I stared out at the city lights through the window, running Wang Feng's plan over and over again in my head. He was waiting for the other side to play out their little charade to the very end. waiting until everyone's curiosity and doubts reached their absolute peak. This was a massive psychological gamble, gambling on the public's rationality and their hunger for the truth. And it was also gambling on my very name, Xie Lin. Wondering just how much credibility I'd have left after surviving this massive storm. Meanwhile, in Lin Dacheng's office, he and lawyer Qian were raising their wine glasses, celebrating their little milestone victory. Old Qian, that move of yours was brilliant. Talk about pulling the rug right out from under them. Look at this, over a dozen households have already bailed. If things keep going like this, in less than a week, their precious little owners committee will completely fall apart on its own. Lin Dacheng's face was flushed with excitement, completely sweeping away the gloom and frustration from the past few days. Lawyer Qian just smiled and swirled his wine glass, a glint of smug satisfaction flashing behind his glasses. Boss Lin, this is only the beginning. I've already made the arrangements. Tomorrow, a few of his former colleagues will be doing interviews in their own personal capacity. They're gonna confirm that Xie Lin really did embezzle those company funds back then. Once that drops, not even God himself could save him. Great, great, great. Lin Dacheng excitedly repeated the word, great, 3 times, as if he could already picture my reputation being completely destroyed. And me begging for mercy on my knees right in front of him. He downed his red wine in one gulp and burst into a hearty laugh. But what he didn't know is that when a person laughs the loudest in the dark, it usually means the dawn is just about to break. At 10 a.m. the next morning, just as those former colleagues Lin Dacheng had bribed, just as they were preparing to show up in a live stream to tell their side of the story, Wang Feng's thunderous counterattack dropped without any warning. Zhangcheng's top-tier law firm, the official public account of Zhangcheng Law Firm, along with all of its partnered media channels, simultaneously released an official document titled, Regarding Mr. Xie Lin's lawyer's statement on the defamation incident. The statement opened by bluntly pointing out that the recent online claims about Mr. Xie Lin misappropriating company funds. 2. Address the recent internet rumors about Mr. Xie Lin embezzling public funds. And all associated false allegations, which have been spreading like wildfire, causing severe damage to his reputation. We declare them to be entirely malicious, fabricated, and severely distorted smear campaigns. Their sole purpose is to mislead the public, with extremely malicious intentions. Right after that, the statement didn't just offer empty denials, but went straight into listing hard evidence, effectively carrying out a public execution. The first piece of evidence was a complete WeChat chat log. The top of the long screenshot showed my message asking for instructions from my former direct supervisor, Mr. Wang. Boss Wang, the Hongda Tech order is super urgent. We have to ship it out today. But going through the standard financial process will take too long. Can I just front the 50,000 for the payment with my own money first? And then have the client wire the money directly back to me? That's the fastest way. Right below it was Mr. Wang's reply. Approved. Let's make a special exception. You front the money first, but make sure to keep all the receipts. Those two simple lines of dialogue instantly changed the nature of the situation from embezzlement to a payment advance explicitly approved by leadership. The second piece of evidence consisted of 2 screenshots of bank transfer receipts. One was an electronic receipt showing a transfer from my personal account to the Hongda Tech corporate account. For the amount of 50,000, the timestamp was from that very morning. The other was an electronic receipt showing a transfer from the client's corporate account right back into my personal account. For 50,000, the timestamp was from that same afternoon. The 2 receipts were back-to-back in time, the amounts matched perfectly. And they corresponded flawlessly with the chat logs. It formed an absolutely irrefutable, closed loop tracking the flow of funds. Proving beyond a doubt that I didn't pocket a single dime of company money, it just passed through my hands. The third piece of evidence was a screenshot of an internal company email. I was the sender, and the recipients were my direct supervisor, Mr. Wang, and the company's finance department. The content of the email was my full, written explanation detailing the entire process of fronting the payment, with all relevant receipts attached. This email proved that I had made a complete, official report to the company the very first second I could after the fact. My actions were completely open, honest, and I had absolutely nothing to hide. The fourth piece of evidence was a scanned copy of a notice of employment termination, officially stamped with the Hongda Tech corporate seal. The reason for termination on the notice stated clearly in black and white, severe violation of the company's financial reimbursement system and fund management regulations. Wang Feng deliberately highlighted this specific line with a red box and attached a clear, concise legal breakdown right next to it. Violating company policy and misappropriating company funds are two completely different legal concepts. The first falls under the category of internal labor discipline, while the second crosses the line into a criminal offense. Hongda Tech terminated Mr. Xie Lin's contract back then strictly on the grounds of violating company policy. Ironically, this proved the exact opposite, that Mr. Xie Lin's actions back then absolutely did not constitute this so-called embezzlement. These four pieces of evidence were tightly interlocked, building up step by step, just like four loud, stinging slaps across the faces of everyone spreading those rumors. They, together forming a complete and unbreakable chain of evidence, smashing that towering fortress built on lies and slander to pieces in an instant. At the very end of the statement was Juncheng Law Firm's ice-cold declaration of war. It formally warned all individuals who published and spread those false rumors and platforms that they must delete the related content immediately, issue a public apology to Mr. Xie Lin, and undo the damage done. Point 2. Our firm, representing Mr. Xie Lin, has filed a defamation lawsuit against the internet troll, Zhangcheng Gossip Bird, who first posted the slander, and the Zhangcheng Hot Topic Forum, which allowed the rumors to spread unchecked, in the People's Court. We demand they be held fully accountable by law. Point 3. Our firm has gathered preliminary evidence proving that this massive, highly organized online smear campaign was orchestrated behind the scenes by individuals connected to the Emerald Jiangnan developer, Zhangcheng Hongyi Real Estate. We have already submitted the relevant evidence to the Cybersecurity Division of the Police Department, requesting a criminal investigation. As for this despicable attempt to use cyber harassment for revenge, we will hunt them down to the very end and show zero mercy. That statement was like a massive depth charge, detonating a literal nuclear blast right in the middle of the already boiling online public opinion. The two sides of netizens who had been fiercely tearing into each other suddenly fell into an eerie silence. Just a few minutes later, the comment section completely exploded. This massive, jaw-dropping reversal of public opinion took less than 1 hour. Those overwhelming voices that had been aggressively attacking me vanished without a single trace. They were completely replaced by a roaring tsunami of pure rage directed at the developers' shameless actions. Along with deep sympathy and rock-solid support for me, not only did my public image survive the hit, it was forged in the fire, becoming absolutely unbreakable. The image of a clean, honest man, who would risk his own reputation for the sake of the greater good. A flawless hero who calmly fought back against power and smears using pure facts and the law, was firmly cemented in people's minds. And honestly, I owed it all to Lin Dacheng and attorney Qian's seemingly brilliant, but actually incredibly stupid smear campaign. They practically handed me a golden crown that nobody could ever take off. Attorney Qian was right in the middle of an emergency meeting when he saw that legal statement from Juncheng Law Firm, when he stared at that crystal-clear chain of evidence and that cold, lethal legal phrasing. The exact kind of phrasing he always prided himself on. His hands started shaking uncontrollably for the first time in his life. He knew he had lost. And worse, he had lost in the very professional field he was most arrogant about. He was like a cocky hunter who had set up what he thought was the perfect trap, only to realize he had been caught in the enemy's crosshairs the entire time. Not only did they see right through his little scheme, but they even used his own trap against him to pull off a textbook perfect counterattack. Bam! The meeting room door was kicked open. Lin Dacheng charged in like a wounded, raging bull. He took his phone and violently slammed it onto the table right in front of attorney Qian. The screen glowed with that exact legal statement. Old Qian, is this your so-called brilliant risky move? Is this what you meant by ruining his reputation forever? Lin Dacheng's voice was hoarse and completely unhinged. His eyes were completely bloodshot, looking even worse than a few days ago. It was a terrifying mix of pure dread, raging fury, and total despair. Now I'm the one who's completely ruined. Me, Lin Dacheng, my company. He pointed frantically at his own face, practically roaring at the top of his lungs. The bank just called me again. They're pulling our loans early. An investigation team is raiding the company tomorrow. And that troll farm boss I paid a fortune for? He just called me to say all his accounts are completely banned. The cyber police are literally knocking on his front door. It's over. We're totally finished. Lin Dacheng completely collapsed into the chair as if his spine had been ripped out, clutching his head in both hands. Muttering endlessly to himself, Lawyer Qian's face was completely pale. He couldn't say a single word. He knew everything Lin Dacheng said was true. This giant ship he relied on to survive was sinking at an unimaginable speed, and he was the one who had personally smashed a massive hole right in the bottom of it. He desperately wanted to defend himself. He wanted to say it was all because of bad intel, to say that the other side didn't play by the rules. But all of his excuses felt so incredibly weak in the face of the facts. He had completely underestimated Xie Lin, and he totally underestimated the lawyer backing Xie Lin up. The people they were up against weren't just some ordinary hotheads. They were masterminds, just like them, or maybe even smarter. Meanwhile, the homeowners group chat was an absolute sea of celebration. Those owners who had wavered or even left the group before, every single one of them crawled back with their tails between their legs. They were spamming apology emojis like crazy. The unity of the whole group, after going through the baptism of this storm, reached an all-time high. Everyone's trust in me had practically turned into blind worship. They firmly believed that as long as they followed me, Xie Lin, we would absolutely win this lawsuit and get our houses back. I didn't reply to any of the flattery in the chat. Instead, Wang Feng and I calmly planned our very next move. Winning the war of public opinion was just step one. It bought us the best possible outside environment and solid internal teamwork, but to actually fix the root of the problem, we ultimately had to take it back to the legal track. Right while I was on the phone with Wang Feng, an unknown landline number called me. I picked it up. A deep, commanding middle-aged man's voice came through. "Hello, is this Mr. Xie Lin?" "Speaking. May I ask who is calling?" "I am the head of the joint investigation team, set up by the Zhangcheng Municipal Committee to look into the Emerald Jiangnan project issues. My last name is Wang." My heart violently skipped a beat. The real heavyweights were finally making their entrance. "Hello, Team Leader Wang." I quickly steadied my emotions, making sure my voice sounded calm and reliable. "Mr. Xie, our investigation team has officially moved into Hongyi Real Estate and launched a full-scale investigation into all related issues concerning the Emerald Jiangnan project. We have noticed the recent series of actions taken by your homeowners committee, as well as the demands and evidence you've posted online." Team Leader Wang's tone was incredibly official, yet it carried an unquestionable authority. "We are taking this matter extremely seriously. We won't just uncover the financial corruption behind these unfinished buildings. We will also strictly deal with any potential criminal activities involved. We hope that you, as the chief representative for the homeowners, can come tomorrow morning to our investigation team's temporary office for a meeting. Please provide us with all the information and evidence you currently have. We need your absolute full cooperation." "No problem," I answered without a single second of hesitation. "Team Leader Wang, we have waited way too long for this day. I will absolutely be there on time tomorrow morning." Hanging up the phone, immediately told Wang Feng the big news. On the other end of the line, even Wang Feng let out a rare, heavy sigh. "Old Xie, you crazy bastard, you really just blew the roof right off this whole thing." He paused for a moment. His tone became deadly serious. "This is our absolute best chance. And maybe our very last chance. Tomorrow, bring every single document we've prepared, including the clues about Lin Dacheng's illegal underground rackets. Bring it all. We aren't just helping the owners get their homes back. We are going to use this investigation team as a blade to completely cut out Lin Dacheng, this toxic tumor that's been festering in Zhangcheng for years, and pull him up by the damn roots." I looked out the window. The sky was slowly turning dark, but my heart had never felt so bright and clear. I knew this war, sparked by a window that never even existed, had finally entered its ultimate showdown, and I would carry the desperate hopes of hundreds of families straight into the final judgment. The Joint Investigation Team's temporary office, located in an unassuming little building inside the compound, the vibe here was completely different from the bustling traffic outside. It was quiet and solemn. It even felt a bit oppressive. Wang Feng and I arrived 15 minutes early. Wang Feng was wearing his signature, well-tailored dark suit, carrying a heavy briefcase. Inside were all the materials we had stayed up all night organizing over the past few days. I was just wearing a simple casual outfit, looking calm. We both knew that today's meeting would determine the final outcome of this entire incident. A young staff member guided us into a small conference room. The room wasn't big, and the furnishings were simple. A long conference table, a few chairs, and the national emblem hanging on the wall. Aside from that, there was nothing else. 3 people were already sitting at the other end of the table. In the middle sat a middle-aged man around 50. He had a strong jawline and very thick eyebrows. His gaze was sharp and profound, projecting a natural authority without him even trying. He didn't wear any name badge, but that steady aura of someone used to being in charge let you know instantly that he was Team Leader Wang, the head of the investigation team. The man and woman next to him looked like his deputies. They were looking down and flipping through documents, looking just as serious. "Hello, Team Leader Wang. I'm Xie Lin, and this is my attorney, Wang Feng." I spoke up first, greeting him politely but firmly. Team Leader Wang looked up. His eyes lingered on us for a few seconds. That look felt like it could pierce right through you. He nodded and pointed to the seats across from him. "Have a seat." Once we sat down, there was no small talk. The meeting cut straight to the chase. Comrade Xie Lin, Team Leader Wang, began. His voice was deep and powerful. "We've already gotten a preliminary look into the Emerald Jiangnan project through various channels. We also watched the press conference you held. We brought you in today because we want to hear a more comprehensive and detailed account. The core principle of our investigation team is to never let a bad guy go. And never wrongfully accuse a good person. We call it exactly like it is. The main focus here is evidence." He put heavy emphasis on the word, evidence. I nodded and looked at Wang Feng beside me. Wang Feng got the cue and opened his briefcase. Taking out a thick stack of neatly bound documents, he gently pushed it to the center of the table. "Team Leader Wang, respected officials. These are all the materials we've prepared." Wang Feng's voice was calm and professional. "We have broken down the entire timeline of events into 3 parts. The first part is the complete chain of evidence regarding the window incident." Wang Feng pulled out the top document. This includes the full audio recording of the phone call between Mr. Xie Lin and the property manager, Yang Hemming. The live video footage of the developer, Lin Dacheng, showing up at the door to make threats. As well as multi-angle videos shot on set at the top floor of the unfinished building by over 100 homeowners. This evidence is more than enough to prove that the developer and the property management, while fully aware that the building was incomplete, still used fabricated facts to extort and blackmail Mr. Xie Lin. The female investigator next to Team Leader Wang took the document and quickly flipped through it, her frown deepening the more she read. The second part is the chain of evidence proving the developer's retaliation. Wang Feng pulled out another document. This includes photos and videos of the vandalized car belonging to Mr. Chen Wenxing, a member of the homeowners committee, and the data we tracked down using technical methods regarding the initial online IP address that spread the rumor about Xie Lin embezzling company funds, along with the account details. At the same time, we also have a formal statement issued by our law firm regarding the incident of Mr. Xie Lin's resignation back then. Comprehensive fact and evidence clarification report. These pieces of evidence point to one clear fact. After the homeowners decided to defend their rights through legal channels, the developers resorted to a series of illegal, threatening tactics, using intimidation, slander, and public opinion manipulation to obstruct the homeowners' lawful actions. Team Leader Wang lightly tapped his fingers on the table, his expression growing increasingly grim. And the third part, which we believe is the absolute core of the matter. Wang Feng's tone became even more severe as he pulled out the final and most crucial document. This is what we found through the purchase contracts and payment vouchers provided by over 260 homeowners. After conducting cross-referencing and professional analysis, we uncovered major financial issues that Zhongcheng Red Leaf Real Estate LLC might be hiding in the Emerald Jiangnan project. He flipped open the file and pointed to a cash flow analysis chart prepared by a professional accountant. We found that the total purchase funds paid by all the homeowners, totaling over 700 million yuan, didn't all go into the project's escrow account. Out of that, nearly 300 million yuan, after entering the escrow account, was siphoned off through several seemingly unrelated shell companies. It ultimately ended up in Lin Dacheng's personal pockets and other investment projects controlled by his relatives. A portion of the funds even flowed overseas. This is the root cause of the broken cash flow that ultimately left the Emerald Jiangnan project unfinished. This isn't just simple mismanagement anymore. It's suspected contract fraud, illegal misappropriation, and serious economic crimes involving the illicit withdrawal of funds. Wang Feng's words dropped like a massive bombshell, freezing the air in the entire conference room. Team leader Wang stopped tapping his fingers. He took the cash flow chart and studied it carefully with the male team member beside him. Their expressions were more serious than ever before. After a long while, team leader Wang looked up, staring at me with burning intensity. Zhang Cheng's comrade Xie Lin, Zhang Cheng's lawyer Wang Feng. Zhang Cheng, do you two realize what submitting these materials means? I met his gaze and calmly replied, we know. It means there's absolutely no room left to negotiate with Lin Dacheng. And it also means we are entrusting the lives and fortunes of our over 200 families to the investigation team. Wang Feng added, Team leader Wang, I've also gathered some leads. Lin Dacheng has been throwing his weight around Zhangcheng for years. He might be tied to local organized crime and underworld syndicates. The only reason he dares to so blatantly embezzle the homeowners' funds and recklessly resort to threats and intimidation is likely because he has a massive protective umbrella behind him. We hope you can include these leads in your investigation, dig deep, and completely eradicate this evil. Team leader Wang gave us a deep, meaningful look, then slowly stood up. He didn't make any grand, heroic speeches, but simply picked up the 3 documents with utmost gravity. Looking at me and Wang Feng, he said in a deep voice, on behalf of the joint investigation team, I thank you for providing these vital details and evidence. Please trust in our organization's determination. And please trust in the power of the people's justice. We will immediately set up a special task force to launch a thorough investigation into the economic crimes and underworld connections you've reported. During the investigation, we will legally guarantee the personal safety of you homeowners' representatives. Go back and wait for our news. The sky over Zhangcheng won't stay dark forever. Walking out of the compound, the early morning sun pierced right through the clouds, shining down on us. I looked up at the clear blue sky and let out a long sigh of relief. I knew the last stretch of darkness before the dawn was about to be torn to shreds. The investigation team's operation, it happened so much faster and fiercer than anyone could have ever expected. Just the afternoon after our meeting with team leader Wang, over a dozen police cruisers quietly surrounded the Hongyi real estate headquarters right in the heart of the Zhangcheng CBD uniformed officers. Along with agents flashing investigation badges, completely locked down every single entrance and exit. They sealed off the entire building. The employees at Hongyi Real Estate were absolutely stunned by this sudden raid. Everyone was ordered to stay right at their desks. No walking around, and definitely no touching any phones or computers. The company's servers, ledgers, and files, all under the strict watch of expert auditors and tech specialists, were systematically seized, copied, and hauled away. This massive sweep, which the media quickly dubbed the Zhangcheng Storm, sent shockwaves through the entire city in almost no time at all. Countless crowds gathered right outside the police tape, holding up their phones, eagerly recording every second of this historic moment. The once untouchable real estate empire crumbled so easily in the face of absolute justice. But at that exact moment, Lin Dacheng had no idea what was going down. He was hiding out in a heavily guarded lakeside villa out in the suburbs, pacing anxiously as he waited for a call from lawyer Qian. He couldn't get a hold of a single one of his so-called friends. They were either dodging his calls entirely or using the coldest, most distant tone possible to tell him to lose their number. His very last sliver of hope rested entirely on lawyer Qian and his so-called Plan B. The plan was to use fake passports to make a midnight run from a nearby airport and escape straight out of the country. Lawyer Qian promised that once they crossed the border, he could work some legal loopholes and tap into his hidden offshore accounts, so he could keep living the high life without a care in the world. But as he waited deep into the night, the call he got wasn't from Qian telling him it was time to run. Instead, it was the deafening crash of the villa's front doors being violently smashed wide open, followed by the booming, authoritative shouts of the police, screaming at him to freeze. Lin Dacheng rushed to the window, took one single look, and completely collapsed onto the floor. The villa's courtyard was already deadlocked by patrol cars and heavily armed tactical units. The glaring, chaotic flash of the red and blue sirens cast a harsh glow on his face, which was completely twisted in raw, unfiltered terror. He looked pale as a ghost. His final fantasy was utterly shattered. He thought about fighting back, thought about making a break for the safe, to grab that weapon he kept for self-defense. but staring out at that sea of black muzzles aimed right at him. Whatever tiny shred of courage he had left just instantly evaporated. Just a few minutes later, the great boss Lin, who used to play God in Zhangcheng, had his hands tightly cuffed behind his back. Looking exactly like a pathetic, beaten dog, he was dragged out of his mansion by two tactical officers. His hair was an absolute mess. His expensive shirt was torn, and every last ounce of that cocky arrogance was completely wiped from his face. All that was left was a hollow, dead despair. The second they shoved him into the back of the cruiser, he looked out the window and locked eyes with lawyer Qian, who was also slapped in cuffs. Qian's glasses were smashed, and his face was pretty banged up. He had clearly put up a struggle before going down. As their eyes met, Lin Dacheng's stare was boiling with pure venom and agonizing regret, while lawyer Qian just shamefully hung his head. But bringing down Lin Dacheng was only the beginning. The massive web of corruption centered all around him, that poisoned both the light and dark sides of Zhangcheng, was finally pulled incredibly tight. After spending days stewing in lockup, the property manager, Yang Hemming, completely cracked under the pressure. He spilled absolutely everything, confessing how over the years, under Lin Dacheng's direct orders, he had skimmed from the maintenance funds, terrorized the homeowners, and even teamed up with shady criminal gangs to violently threaten people, along with a whole string of other incredibly serious crimes. Those former colleagues that Lin Dacheng paid to smear me online were brought back from out of town by the authorities. They confessed everything about how lawyer Qian directed their paid smear campaign. They were full of regret for what they did, but what was even more shocking was, as the investigation went deeper, behind the abandoned Emerald Jiangnan project, more horrifying truths came to light. It turned out, Lin Dacheng didn't just run off with the homeowners' money. By inflating construction figures and forging contracts, he swindled hundreds of millions in development loans. He even colluded with some of the officials in charge of the project back then, snagging the land for dirt cheap and faking documents across the board, from urban planning to fire safety. This planted a massive ticking time bomb for safety. Pulling up the roots brought out all the dirt. Because of Lin Dacheng's case, an unprecedented shockwave hit Zhangcheng. Everyone involved was panicking. The whole city was swept up in a massive cleanup operation, all sparked by a case over a window that never even existed. It was an anti-corruption storm that completely cleared the air. On the TV, the news channel was rolling updates on Lin Dacheng and the latest progress on his massive economic crime syndicate. 17 core members of the syndicate were featured, detailing the latest breakthroughs and penalties. The anchor spoke with fiery passion about the city council's iron resolve to crush organized crime and protect the people. I sat on my couch at home, watching it all with total calm. My phone dinged. It was a message in the homeowners group chat from Chen Wenxing. He posted a screenshot from the news showing Lin Dacheng being shoved into a police cruiser, followed by just 3 words. Dawn has broken. Below that were hundreds of homeowners perfectly synced, typing, +1. I turned off the TV and walked over to the window. I looked out at the bright, clear moon. Yeah, dawn had finally broken. But for those of us who suffered in the dark for over 2 years, just seeing the sunrise wasn't enough. What we truly wanted was the warm sun that should have been shining on us all along. Time is the ultimate healer and the fairest judge of all. 6 months later, Lin Dacheng's high-profile, major economic crime case finally came to a close. The verdict from the Zhangcheng Intermediate Court came down like the iron hammer of justice, striking the final, decisive blow. Lin Dacheng was convicted on multiple charges and sentenced to life behind bars. He was stripped of his political rights for life, and every penny of his personal wealth was confiscated. His business empire, all the money and power he spent his entire life chasing, ultimately vanished into thin air. He would be spending the rest of his days repenting his sins behind high prison walls. Lawyer Qian was sentenced to 15 years in prison. That brilliant legal mind he was so damn proud of ended up being the very tool that locked him away. The property manager, Yang Hemming, along with all those thugs involved in the blackmail, and the internet trolls hired to spread rumors, were all handed prison sentences ranging from 3 to 10 years, depending on their crimes. What awaited them was the harsh punishment of the law. The dark web of corruption that had suffocated Zhangcheng for years was finally ripped to shreds. Every single one of those criminals paid the price they deserved. For us homeowners at Emerald Jiangnan, seeing the bad guys get punished was incredibly satisfying. But what we cared about even more was the fate of that abandoned building holding all our dreams of a real home. Led by the Joint Investigation Task Force, a crucial meeting that would decide our ultimate fate was convened in the City Hall auditorium. On one side of the table were the homeowners committee representatives, led by me. On the other side, the officials from the city departments. And a new face, the representative from Zhangcheng Construction, the city's largest state-owned building group. Director Wang personally led the meeting. First, he walked us through the asset liquidation results for Hongyi Real Estate. Thanks to Lin Dacheng recklessly squandering and hiding the funds, the company was completely bankrupt. The remaining assets were nowhere near enough to cover the rest of the project's construction costs. Hearing this, that tiny glimmer of hope on the homeowners' faces was instantly clouded over again. But just as everyone's hearts sank, Director Wang shifted his tone. However, he said, raising his voice. His eyes swept across every single homeowner representative in the room. We will absolutely not let ordinary citizens pay the price for the crimes of these corrupt criminals. He pointed to the representative from Zhangcheng Construction next to him. After careful review, we've decided that the most capable and most trustworthy group, Zhangcheng Construction, will completely take over the rest of the construction for Jade Zhongnan Phase 3. We'll be allocating a portion of special funds to act as the startup capital to ensure the project can restart smoothly without any hiccups. Zhangcheng Construction has also promised to finish all the building and interior work right at cost, while fully guaranteeing the quality, so that you can finally move into safe, secure homes. And the most important thing is, Director Wang's voice echoed through the massive auditorium, none of the homeowners will have to spend a single extra penny. After a brief moment of stunned silence, the hall erupted into thunderous applause and cheers. The emotions we had bottled up for over 2 years were finally, completely unleashed in that very moment. Many of the older folks just couldn't hold back their feelings anymore. They burst into tears of pure joy right then and there. They were hugging each other, patting each other on the back, sharing this long overdue happiness in the most genuine way. I just stood there in the crowd, watching it all unfold. And I couldn't help but tear up a little myself. From the moment I got that ridiculous phone call demanding compensation, to the standoff on the roof, the media exposure, the legal battles, and finally, the police stepping in. It's been such a long journey. We faced so much doubt, intimidation, division, and sheer agony. But in the end, we actually made it through. Our unity and perseverance won us the ultimate victory. 1 year later, Jade Zhongnan Phase 3 was officially handed over. That overgrown, abandoned construction site had transformed into a lush, beautiful neighborhood filled with singing birds and blooming flowers. Row after row of brand new buildings sparkled in the sunlight. Those cold, lifeless concrete skeletons were finally wearing a warm, welcoming coat. I finally got the keys to apartment 1201. The place was fully furnished, bright, and spotless. I made a point to walk right over to that window. The very window that started this whole crazy story. I pushed it open, and a fresh breeze instantly rushed in. Looking out from up here, I could see the fountain in the central garden below, and the stunning skyline of the city in the distance. This window, it felt so real, so bright, and completely solid. On moving day, the neighborhood group chat was buzzing with excitement. The new property management company had set up this new chat. There was no more complaining or anger. Instead, it was filled with warm, friendly greetings between neighbors, and so much hope for our new lives. At everyone, tonight at 7 o'clock, on the big lawn in the central garden, the homeowners committee has organized a massive housewarming barbecue party. Chip in if you can. Pitch in if you can. Feel free to bring the whole family along. That was the message Chen Wenxing sent in the group chat. He is now the honorary advisor of the new homeowners association. Right below it, the chat was instantly flooded with "got it" and all sorts of celebratory emojis. Awesome, fan replied, "Got it, I'll definitely be there." I put down my phone. Downstairs, the kids were chasing each other and playing on the grass. The adults were gathered in small groups, just chatting about their everyday lives. Everyone's face was beaming with pure happiness. I suddenly realized that this might just be the most perfect ending to our whole story. We defeated the dragon, not so we could become some new heroes, but simply so we could go back to a perfectly ordinary, peaceful life, exactly like this. Sitting in a room with a beautiful view, soaking in the sunlight, and just waiting for a neighborhood barbecue to start. This world really is amazing. Sometimes, you give it your absolute all,